Hi folks, Luke George here from By George with my guest Shil Shanghavi, Chatter Chief at Chatterbox. Hi Shil, thanks for taking some time to share your wisdom with us today.
Thanks for having me.
As a public speaker, you certainly didn't begin with a passion for communication. It was quite opposite. So tell me how you went from a stutterer to a TEDx presenter.
Well, I'll start by saying this. I haven't gone from being a stutterer to a TEDx presenter because I still am a stutterer. But in addition to that, I am now also a TEDx presenter. And how that happened was about 5 years ago. I watched a TED Talk.
Yeah.
I remember the moment it happened. I was at work and a colleague brought a TED Talk into work.
Yeah.
And when I saw the person speaking, I was in awe of how they came across and where they were. And I wanted to one day be on that stage.
Can you remember who that person was? Who the speaker was?
I don't remember who the speaker was, but all I remember in my mind was, wow, that's incredible. How can anybody stand on a stage like that and speak and present so well? And since then, this obsession almost with being able to speak began, and I pursued it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, in December, you had the opportunity to not only present at TEDx Perth, but also to coach another speaker. Can you tell us about the highs and lows of those particular times?
Sure. Let's start with the highs.
Yes.
The highs are, I think, they're self-explanatory.
Yes.
Being able to coach on one of the biggest speaking stages, but also to be able to speak on one of the biggest speaking stages, it's an achievement which I never thought I would ever be able to do. So for me, the high was just being accepted as a speaker coach and then being invited to be a speaker on TEDx. The low for me was the self-doubt.
Oh, okay.
So whilst you've been invited to do this, you almost question your ability. And you ask yourself, it's great that I've been asked to do this, but can I actually do it? And can I do it to the standard that TEDx would expect you to do it? And to be honest, there was a lot of moments there where I thought I couldn't. But you just need to dig deep and you just need to believe in yourself. And that's what I did.
Fantastic.
So that to me was the low.
Well, we're going to speak a little bit more about how you do dig deep later on in the interview.
Sure.
And now I've seen your presentation, Mob Justice. It sounds horrific the way you do that presentation, and it's actually on Shil's website that I'll give you information about later on. And it's a classic story of adversity. And so what strengths have you learnt from this near-death experience?
Good question. Mob justice to me was one of the most profound experiences I've ever had. And I suppose the biggest takeaway, the learning from me, was appreciating what we have here. Because what I went through there, I experienced that in Kenya. That's where I was born. I was raised. And going through something like that in a developing country where not a lot of people in Australia have exposure to what goes on there. But it's just taught me to appreciate what we have here so much more. And it's taught me to accept and grab the opportunities we have over here, because I don't feel people do enough of that. We take what we have over here for granted.
And what about gratitude? Is it gratitude every day? Do you look into that as an area too that helps you move forward when you're talking about appreciation?
Every day. I'm grateful for everything here. I'll give you an example.
Yes.
We can go to the shops here and buy anything we want at the click of a finger.
Yes.
We can buy bread, sugar, butter. We can go to the petrol station and get fuel anytime we want. Where I'm from, we go weeks without that stuff. And that's today in 2019. This isn't 5 years ago, this is today. And we live in a nice part of Kenya, but we still have all these issues. And so when it comes to gratitude, absolutely, you feel grateful for everything we have here.
That is amazing. I don't think I could even understand not being able to just go to the shop and get that milk.
Yeah, no,
it's quite incredible.
And The frustration for me is now I'm so accustomed to having things done in a certain way here that when I go back home, I feel the frustration.
All right.
But I know I shouldn't because that's how it is. But I've been so conditioned to jumping onto your phone and being able to order a meal from Uber Eats, whereas there, we still don't even have Uber.
Okay.
You can't do that.
Now, you left your regular paying sales and marketing job and you followed a public speaking career. So what was the motivation behind that, Shil?
That's an easy one for me to answer. I'm terrified of public speaking.
Yeah.
And the only way for me to conquer that fear was to actually do it. The second thing was, as you know, I have a stutter. Yeah. It was the only way for me to really control my stutter. Thirdly, I wanted to do my own thing. Yeah. I didn't want to be employed by somebody else. I wanted to do something which I loved, something which drove me. And that was the decision. I wanted to give it a go.
Fantastic.
You live once, so
you only live
what's
once.
the worst that can happen, right?
That's right. You can always go back and sell or market.
Well, you can, but I really don't want to do that. I want to continue doing what I'm doing now because I love doing it.
Yes.
And even if it doesn't work, I know I've tried.
I think you are definitely on the track. Now, what sort of traits did you have to develop within yourself before you went out on your own? Did you feel as if you were already developing some certain skill set that would help you with that confidence to move out on your own?
Absolutely. It was a belief that I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just an unwavering, unshakable belief that I could do it. And there was some advice that I was given by my coach, actually, and he said to me, you need to look at this like an athlete that's got his back against a wall. Mm-hmm. You have no other choice but to succeed.
Fantastic.
It's as simple as that. Your back's against the wall. You have to do this and you have to do well at it. And that's the belief that I've got inside me. It's every day, you have to do this. You have no other choice. And if you don't put the work in, it's not going to happen. And it's the same as going to the gym where you want to lift weights or play sport. If you want to do well, you need to make it happen.
Because you've just mentioned a few times there about you doing it. So it's all about you creating those opportunities, and that's one of those big traits that you have to have. Whether you're self-employed or as an employee, it's about you being able to create the opportunities.
Correct. You need to create them, but you also need to look out. You need to listen to people. Mm-hmm. You need to surround yourself with people who are willing to support you, who are willing to listen to you. And it's being prepared to take the criticism that comes along with things that you might not be doing well.
Right.
Because it's constructive criticism, and I've had a lot of it, but I see it as a positive thing.
Yes.
Because if I'm not doing something well, there's always space to improve.
Yes, yes, we love that improvement. Yeah. We love that improvement. Now, something that I must congratulate you on is your recent, the start of what I see is going to be many of your Let's Chat events,
sure,
where you had businesses and sport and soccer together. And what prompted you to do something like that? I mean, that just sounds crazy.
A few things. Firstly, I'm anxious of going to networking events.
Mm-hmm.
I always have been. Combining public speaking and the soccer, I'm a soccer fanatic.
Oh, yep.
I love it. I work in public speaking and I'm afraid of going to networking events. So to me, it made sense to try to organize something where people have a common ground,
yes,
a mutual topic,
yes,
to talk about, and then inviting people that have an interest within that topic to come along and meet and connect, and organizing guest speakers and some door prizes. So the motivation, the idea behind it was to provide a platform for people to be able to network easily.
And I saw on your LinkedIn, a lot of the feed was fantastic. You got a lot of congratulations. Are there going to be more? Has it motivated you to do another couple of events?
Yes, there will be more. In fact, my next one is well and truly underway. I've just locked my speakers in. I can't say what the event's going to be.
It'll be under wraps.
But yes, it's given me the confidence and the motivation now to do more.
That's sensational. Yeah, and they will be fantastic. I've heard all about them. I would like to give you a statement,
Sure.
Your reputation is your greatest asset. What's your opinion on that, Shil?
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Your reputation is your greatest asset, and it's... Somebody once told me, it's about what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've been somewhere and you leave the room, what are people going to say about you then? And that comes down to reputation. And everything you do now affects your reputation. The way you interact with people, the way you post things onto social media.
Yeah.
So, yes, your reputation it's not your only asset, but it's certainly a very important asset from your toolkit.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad we agree.
Yeah.
Now, what about your LinkedIn profile? What sort of things do you do on LinkedIn on a daily basis, weekly, monthly? How do you work that with your reputation using LinkedIn?
I use my LinkedIn quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I use it I post maybe twice a week.
Yeah.
And the sort of activity I have is all professional.
Yep.
I post the events that I go to, I post articles and blogs, and I try to keep it so that people can see all the things that I'm doing within the public speaking space. And I take two approaches. One is to showcase the work that I'm doing.
Yes.
But on the other side, it's also to showcase the good things that other people in my network are doing.
Yes.
But I use it purely from a professional standpoint.
Yes. Okay. So I think the word there is the important word is professional. So we're not talking about our Facebooks and Instagrams, it's all about professional.
100%.
100%.
I think a lot of people now, and it's been spoken about time and time again, a lot of people are using their LinkedIn like a Facebook. And I think Facebook, stick to Facebook, Instagram, stick to Instagram. It's a terrific tool, your LinkedIn, for a way to market yourself professionally. So if it's used in the right way, it can be very powerful.
Well, thanks for that insight. Now, a pillar of our personal brand is articulation. Do you believe presentation skills helps with articulating your brand?
Yes. And I don't just say that because I work in presentation skills.
I thought it might be a bit biased.
Absolutely does. Your brand is you, and the way you present yourself is very much your brand. The way you communicate, the way you speak, when you go to networking events, the way you shake hands with people, the way you come across. So the better a presenter you can become, the better you can communicate your brand. So yes, it's very important.
And now, I'd have to ask 5 important tips for people doing a presentation, be it for some of the work they're doing in front of their colleagues, at a birthday party, or wherever it may be. What would be 5 tips that you'd give someone easily?
I knew this question was coming.
Well, a man like you would need to be able to hit. We'd love to hear any insight.
5 tips.
5 easy tips.
5 easy tips.
Yeah.
So firstly, breathe.
Breathe.
Learn to breathe. A lot of people get really anxious, so just take a few deep breaths to calm yourself down. To know what you want to say.
Okay. Yeah.
If you know what you want to say, you'll be more confident about saying it. 3, people can't see how you feel. People can see how you look. So whilst on the inside you might be trembling, nobody can see that. They can only see what you look like. So if you smile, it'll enhance to the confidence and you probably look fine.
Yes.
If you smile, it'll just make you look even better.
Yes.
4, I recommend people slow down.
Slow the pace down.
Yeah. And 5, when somebody says, picture the crowd with no clothes on, don't do that. Don't ever do that. Try to look at people when you speak to them.
Very good. Now, this is a question I always ask the important people as a guest. What advice would you give to a 15-year-old Shil? If you could see yourself there, you've got him in front of you, and you've given him the best advice you've got so far in your life, what would you say to him?
Excuse me, I would say don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Take a chance, because as a 15-year-old, I remember being scared of doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
I remember being scared of putting my hand up in class to answer a question, or being afraid to speak up in situations, or just being afraid to try things.
Yes.
And if I could look back on that time, I would tell myself, don't be scared.
Yes.
Give it a go, because what's the worst that can happen? And I live by that mantra now, is if I want to do something, I'm going to give it a go.
Good.
And I'm not going to be afraid of it, because what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. What's the worst that can
Yeah,
happen?
so don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Now, thank you very much, Shil, for being so honest and very open with all your comments. We've certainly learnt a lot. There's a lot of takeaways in there. And in appreciation of your time, I'd like you to offer the most desired water bottle ever, the By George drink bottle.
That is
Thanks very much, Shil.
fantastic. I'm going to use this at the gym from now on. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shil.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you. And thanks very much,
mate.
folks, for tuning in. Another great session with Shil, and next week we've got another great interview with someone special. Thank you.